Hello, future engineers, subscribers, viewers, and students. Here is a video in structural analysis. This is an additional example for the face-to-face lecture part. So I will no longer discuss this in class. So we will proceed with the problems and topics that have not yet been discussed in the class. So here's the problem. The floor system of an apartment building consists of a 150 millimeter thick reinforced concrete slab resting on three steel floor beams. These are the beams, which in turn are supported by two steel girders as shown. The areas of cross-section of the floor girders and beams, or the girders and beams, are made of W21 by 93 and W18 by 76. So these are uh, expressed or described in English system because the designation, the first number is the depth. So it should be in inches, not in mm, by common sense. So therefore, these are English sections. Determine the dead loads acting on the beam CD and the girder AE. Also compute the axial load in column A. So for CD, it consists of the weight of the steel beam itself and the uniform slab, concrete slab, reinforced concrete slab. So computing for the weight of the beam, remember the conversion factor. This is 76 pounds per foot. Therefore, the conversion factor to convert it to kilogram per meter is 1.488. So 76 times 1.488, that would be in kilogram per meter. We multiply further by 9.81 to express the results to newtons per meter. And further, we divide by 1000 so that the units would be kilonewtons per meter. So it is 1.109 kilonewtons per meter. For the uniform load, this rectangular dead load due to reinforced concrete slab, it is specific weight of concrete slab times cross-sectional area of the tributary section. The cross-sectional area of the tributary section, this is the tributary width, which is half to that side, half to this bottom side. Therefore, it is also 3 meters and the thickness is 0.15 meter. So it is specific weight times cross-sectional area, which is 0.15 meter by 3 meters. If you draw the section here. The specific weight of concrete is 2.4, specific gravity times specific weight of water 9.81. So that is 23.56 kilonewtons per cubic meter times cross-sectional area. So you will get 10.595 kilonewtons per meter. The total dead load, therefore, on steel beam CD is 1.109, the uniform weight of the beam plus the uniform weight of the concrete slab, which is part of the dead load. So therefore, the total uniform dead load on CD is 11.7 kilonewtons per meter. So for CD, this is the load, uniform load, 11.7 kilonewtons per meter. While for AE, girder AE, the load consists of the reaction at C. So the reaction at C will be transmitted to this point of framing between the beam and the girder, and in addition we have the uniform weight of the steel girder. So let's solve for this R sub C here. Summation forces vertical equals 0, so 2 times R sub C, this is the figure, 2 times R sub C equals 11.7 kilonewton per meter times 7.5. So R sub C is 43.88 kilonewtons. Then for the steel girder, the uniform weight is, it is W21 by 93, 93 pounds per foot. The conversion factor 1.488. to make it kilogram per meter, we multiply 9.81 further newtons per kilogram divided by 1000 to express it in kilonewtons per meter. So for the steel girder, the dead load consists of its uniform weight 1.358 kilonewtons per meter for the weight of the girder, and the reaction here transmitted on AE at the center of AE, which is 43.88 kilonewtons. Then solving for R sub A, 2 summation versus Y equals 0, RA and RE are equal, so 2 times RA equals the total load 1.358 times 6, this is 6 meters long, and plus 43.88, so R sub A is 26.01 kilonewtons. Then finally, for the reaction or axial load in column A, we have to analyze first beam AB. So for beam AB, let's call this reaction here as RA of the beam, then here RB of the beam. The loading would be the weight of the uniform weight of the steel beam, which is 1.109 kilonewton per meter, plus the dead load due to the weight of the slab, uniform weight of the slab. The tributary width is only half of 3, 1.5. So WAB is specific weight of concrete, 2.4 times 9.81. Then uniform cross-sectional area in this side is 0.15 meter the thickness, then 1.5 the tributary width for AB. So it is 5.297 kilonewtons per meter. Therefore, WAB dead load total would be 1.101 plus WAB 5.297, so 6.406 kilonewton per meter. Then summation versus Y equals 0, 2 times RAB, because RA due to the beam equals RB due to the beam, then equals total load, which is 6.406 kilonewton per meter times length 7.5. So RAB is 24.02 kilonewtons. Focusing on column A, at the bottom side, the reaction is RA for the girder, which is equal to 26.01 kilonewtons. Then on this side here, which is here, the reaction at A due to the steel beam AB, and it is equal to 24.02. So the transmitted axial load on column A would now be 24.02 here plus 26.01, so 56.03 kilonewtons. Then for the other solution based on tributary area, the red boundaries would be the tributary area for that column A. All loads within these boundaries would be transmitted to A, and the dimension of this boundary or tributary area would be half of 7.5, 3.75 meters, and of course this is 3 meters obviously. So that the pressure, uniform pressure due to the uniform weight of the slab is equal to specific weight of concrete times thickness of the slab, and it is distributed over this area here. So specific weight of concrete 2.4 times 9.81, thickness of slab is 0.15. So the uniform pressure over the slab or due to the slab is 3.532 kilopascals. Having known this pressure, we also consider the weights of steel beam inside this boundary and the girder. So the pressure 3.532 kilonewtons per square meter, the tributary area is 3.75 by 3. So this is the weight of uniform slab transmitted to column A. Then we have steel beam here of length 3.75, which will be transmitted there because the other half to B, and the weight, uniform weight of steel beam is 1.109 times length 3.75. Then we also have a steel beam here, but this steel beam happens to be coincident with the boundary. So half of the weight should be transmitted to A, the other half to E. So therefore, the total weight of this steel beam inside this tributary area is 1.109 times 3.75. But because only half of this weight will be transmitted to A, because the other half will be transmitted to E, so that's why we divide it by 2. Then plus the weight of this steel girder, 3 meters long, the uniform weight of the steel girder is 1.358 kilonewton per meter and the length is 3. Computing for PA, it is 50.05 kilonewtons, which is practically equal to that. It's the small difference is due to rounding of values. For this second problem here, for the 3 hinged arc shown, the indicated values are wind pressure coefficients. So on this wall, 0.6, on this windward roof, 0.4, leeward roof, negative 0.3. The frames are separated 6 meters apart. The wind pressure is to be computed for 200 kilometers per hour wind speed. Determine the horizontal reaction at A, the vertical reaction at D, and the horizontal reaction at D. Or we will just determine the component reactions at A and D. So first, let's consider the entire system and let's transmit the wind loads. First, let's compute for the wind load. This W1 here is, first, let's compute the uniform wind pressure. It is equal to 0.0473 velocity square, where V is in kilometers per hour. And this gives us in pascals. So 0.0473 times 200 square. Then I divide by 1000 to convert the pressure to kilopascals. And it is equal to 1.892 kilopascals. So W1 therefore is wind pressure coefficient 0.6 times the uniform pressure times the tributary width, which is 6 meters. So 0.6 times 1.892 kilonewtons per meter squared times 6 meters. That's why we have 6.811 kilonewtons per meter for W1. For W2 here, it is compression also because the wind pressure coefficient is positive. 0.4 times wind times pressure times width, so 4.541 kilonewtons per meter. And for W3, which is suction, so away, 0.3 is wind pressure coefficient, wind pressure, tributary width, so 3.406 kilonewtons per meter. We then compute F1, which is just the area of this rectangular loading distribution. So it is equal to W1 times 8 meters. So F1 is 6.811 W1 times 8, it is 4.49 kilonewtons, and it is acting through the centroid of this rectangular area. So 4 meters from A, 4 meters from B also. Then F2x is uniform load times the vertical projection of the area. That's the shortcut way. So F2x is W2 4.541 times 4 meters vertical projection, so 18.16 kilonewtons, and it acts through the centroid of this vertical projected surface, so 2 meters from B, 2 meters also vertically from C. Then F2y is wind load W2 times horizontal projection, which is 6, so it is 27.25 kilonewtons, and it's acting through the centroid, so half of 6, 3 from B, 3 also meters horizontally from C. Then F3x is wind pressure W3, 3.406 times vertical projection 6, so it is 20.44 kilonewtons, and it's acting through the centroid, so half of 6 is 3, half of 10, 5. So that's it. Then F3y is equal to W3, 3.406 times horizontal projection 10, 34.06 kilonewtons. Then we consider the whole system. We sum up moments about point D equals 0, and we consider counterclockwise positive. So that's why we have AX times 6 minus AY times 16. Then because this is 4 and this is 6, so this is 2 meters, so it is counterclockwise, plus F1 54.49 times 2. Then F2X is clockwise, so minus F2X 18.16 times 4, where 4 is 6 meters minus 2 meters, because this is 2 meters. So then counterclockwise plus F2Y, which is equal to 27.25. Then this is 3 meters plus 3, so 13 meters moment arm. Then minus F3X, because it is clockwise. F3X is 20.44, then moment arm 3 meters. Then minus F3Y 34.06 times moment arm 5 equals 0. So simplifying, we have equation 1, 6AX minus 16AY equals negative 158.97 kilonewtons. Call that equation 1. Then we consider member ABC. Take note that if we isolate this, we have reactions at C, but anyway, we sum up moments about C equals 0 and still counterclockwise positive. So the equation is AX times moment arm 12 minus AY times 6 plus F1 54.49 times 8, where 8 is 12 meters minus 4. Then plus F2X, which is 18.16 times 2 meters, that's 2 meters. Then plus F2Y 27.25 times 3 meters equals 0. Simplifying, 12AX minus 6AY equals negative 553.99. So therefore, we solve equations 1 and 2 simultaneously, and we obtain AX negative 50.71 kilonewtons and AY negative 9.079 kilonewtons. So there's no need to correct this, because in this free body diagram, I assume that all component reactions are positive, rightward and upward. So it is understood that they are in the opposite direction. AX is leftward and AY is downward. Now for dx and dy, we consider next the entire system. We sum up moments about A equals 0 and considering clockwise this time as positive. So summation moment A equals 0, dx times 6, then minus dy times 16, then plus F1, which is 54.49 times 4, then plus F2X, which is 18.16 times 10, 8 plus 2, 10, then plus F2Y, which is 27.75 times 3, then plus F3X, which is 20.44. The moment arm is 9, where 9 is 12 meters minus 3 meters. This is 3 meters. Then minus F3Y, which is 34.06. The moment arm is half of 10, 5 plus 6, so 11. Then equals 0. Simplifying, 6dx minus 16dy equals negative 290.61. So call that equation 3. Then we consider CD. Summation of moments about C equals 0, clockwise, counterclockwise positive. So we have dx times 6 plus dy times 10. Then plus F3x 20.44 times 3. Then plus F3y 34.06 times moment arm 5 equals 0. So simplifying, 6dx plus 10dy equals negative 231.62. Solving equations 3 and 4 simultaneously, we obtain dx negative 42.38 kilonewtons and dy 2.0 269 kilonewtons. So you check summation versus x, and it should be 0. Summation versus y, it should also be 0. So that's it for this problem. So for this last part, timber beam measuring 150 mm by 300 mm is used as a footbridge spanning 6 meters. The beam weighs 8.4 kilonewtons per cubic meter, and other materials permanently attached to it weigh 670 newtons per meter. Motorcycles are allowed to pass the bridge one at a time. If the axle loads of the heaviest motorcycle are 900 meters and 2.4 kilonewtons respectively at a wheelbase of 1.2 meters, determine if the beam is safe considering allowable stresses of 6.6 megapascals for shear and 8 megapascals for bending. In your calculations, include the effect of impact factor given by 15 quantity L over 38, where L is the length of the member. Then, aside from this, we also consider based on the principle that the maximum or the absolute maximum moment occurs under the load, particularly the heavier load, when that load and the resultant of the loads are positioned equidistant from the center line of the beam for the simply supported beam only. So therefore, the absolute maximum moment is expected to occur under this heavier load. So with sense, because the heavier load, when closer to the center, will cause the maximum bending, and therefore will cause maximum moment, and therefore will produce maximum bending stress also. So to solve for the uniform dead load, it is 8,400 newtons to be consistent, 8.4 kilonewtons per cubic meter. So 8,400 newtons per cubic meter times cross-sectional area of the beam, 0.15 meter by 0.3 meter, then plus the uniform load permanently attached to the beam, which is 670, and we'll get 1,048 newtons per meter, or 1.048 kilonewtons per meter. For the distance between the resultant of the loads which stays on the span, the loads will stay on the span. R is 2.4 plus 0.9 kilonewtons, so 3.3 kilonewtons. By Varignon's theorem, the moment about this point is the sum of moments of the components. So for moment of resultant 3.3 times E clockwise equals 2.4 times 0, not shown, plus 0.9 times 1.2. So E is 18 over 55 meters. Therefore, half of that is 9 over 55 as shown here. So if this is the center line, this is the heavier load, 2.4 kilonewtons, and the distance of the heavier load from the center line is half of 18 over 55, so 9 over 55 meters. Same is true with the resultant. Its distance from the center line is 9 over 55. Therefore, the distance of the heaviest load from the left support would be 3 meters, half of 6 meters, minus 9 over 55, so 156 over 55 meters. That's also the same distance of the resultant from the other right support, 156 over 55 meters. So we compute for R1 because we want to solve for the maximum moment. Summation of moments about this head there, you may call this R2. So about 0.2 equals 0. So R1 times 6 equals uniform load first, 1.409 times 6, moment arm 3, then plus R 3.3 times 156 over 55. So solving for R1, we can solve for R1 definitely. It is equal to R1 is equal to 5.778 kilonewtons. So the extension to that is here, Then Mmax is, we simply cut the section up to this load, then we sum up moment about that load. So Mmax is 5.778 times 156 over 55 minus the moment of this uniform load, 1.408 times 156 over 55, that's the load, then times moment arm, half of 156 over 55, which is 156 over 110. So that's 156 over 110. So computing Mmax is 10.725 kilonewton meter. This is the maximum moment without considering yet the impact factor. So solving for the impact factor by this formula, it is 15 over 6 plus 38. So it is 0.3409, and because this exceeds 0.3, therefore we should use 0.3. So the maximum moment with impact is the moment without impact plus the impact factor times the moment without impact. So in short, if we factor out the moment, maximum moment, then it is 1 plus 0.3 or simply 1.3. So the maximum moment considering impact factor would now be 13.94 kilonewton meter. While the maximum shear is this reaction here, and that happens when the heavier load is over the support. So remember, this is the resultant 3.3, and the distance from the heavier load is equal to 18 over 55. That's 18 over 55. So therefore, summation moments about the right support equals 0. Vmax times 6 equals 1.408 times 6 times 3 for the load. Then for this live load, 3.3 times quantity 6 minus 18 over 55. So solving for maximum shear without impact yet, it is 7.341344 kilonewtons. So considering impact, the maximum shear therefore is 7.344 times 1.3, 9.547 kilonewtons. So the maximum bending stress given by MC over I, where C is H over 2 and I be H cubed over 12, will be reduced for rectangular sections, will be reduced to 6M over BH square only for rectangular sections, and it is equal to 6 maximum moment 13.94 kilonewton meter within, this is with impact, times 1000 squared to convert moment to Newton mm, divided by B 150 mm, H 300 mm quantity squared. So the unit would be Newton mm in the numerator, mm cubed in the denominator, and that is Newton per mm square or megapascals. So FB max is 6.196 megapascals, and this is less than the allowable bending stress of 8 megapascals. Therefore, we say the beam is safe against bending. Then for shear, the formula is VQ over IB, where V is the maximum shear, Q is the static moment of area, which is the area above the neutral axis is BH over 2, and the moment arm of that area from the neutral axis is H over 4, then divided by VQ over I. I is BH cubed over 12, and B is just B, the length of the section where shear acts. So this VQ over IB for rectangular sections reduces to 3V over 2BD. So V is V, Q is area of the half rectangle, is BH over 2, moment arm is H over 4, so that would be BH squared over 8, then I BH cubed over 12, B is B, so 12 divided by 8 is 3 halves, and this will be the result. Where D is also H, so take note the depth is also height of the cross section of the beam. So substituting 3 times 9,547 newtons maximum shear of with impact, divided by 2, B is 150 mm, depth or H is 300 mm. So it is 0.31 0.82, I think, megapascals, and this is less than 0.6 megapascals. So we conclude that the beam is also safe against shear. So that's it for this problem.